Hello. Articles like "This is Donald Trump's Fault" by David Frum in the Atlantic website are the reason why America is still so polarized politically, and why the reason this COVID-19 outbreak, specifically in America, has become so much of a political issue rather than just a national crisis. Unfortunately, Republicans and Democrats both have taken it upon themselves to use this pandemic as a way to push their agendas, probably since the election's coming up. Starting with this article, it lists in a paragraph all these mistakes and errors that Donald Trump has specifically made about containing the virus. It bashed him for the country's unpreparedness for the pandemic and the lack of bans on foreign travel, public places inside the country domestically. And it also used words to describe him even as evil and lazy about the virus, not even him as a person. First, for a reporter to blame the spread of the entire virus on a single nation's leader in one person, or even honestly one country, is ridiculous. You can't do that. Second, these issues weren't the fault of just one presidential term. It's a combination of many past terms. Even with George Bush's administration after SARS, they did not replenish the American medical supplies needed. And then again, after the H1N1 outbreak, which killed 19,000 people in America in 2009, the Obama administration did not replenish American medical supplies needed, so this isn't the fault of one term. This is just a combination of the past 20 years of error within the American government. It's not the fault of a single person. And by this article putting the blame all in one person, it's an obvious point of this single author or journalist trying to push a single political agenda, especially considering Donald Trump will be the Republican candidate for this year's election. So obviously, in a crisis like this, people always want to place blame on something. I mean, that's the first thing we do, is whose fault was it? And obviously, people are going to put a blame on something, but you can't, put it on one person like this author is doing. You can put it even on the whole government for the spread and the lack of supplies, but you can't put the whole issue on one person. Now, another article I found on the Atlantic that talks pretty much about the same thing, but does it in a very good professional way, and the way I think journalists need to do more in the United States, is in an article titled "This is Not All Trump's Fault, but He Isn't Helping Either," and it's written by Quinta Juricic, also on the Atlantic. She discusses how the government has obviously made a lot of mistakes, but it's the same mistakes all governments have been making with this outbreak. And she states how it's not just the president's fault, but it's Congress's fault and all the other governors and leaders of this country's fault as well. It's not just a single person's responsibility. And in her writing, you can tell, unlike how David Frum did in his writing, it is not a politically infused article. It's more, she is just reporting what is happening, and she's stating what's going on, which is exactly what reporting is for. Now, this speech wasn't in any way to attack the author, David Frum, for this article, but more of just a way of saying his way of trying to push a political agenda in this pandemic or in this way is wrong. It's not helpful at all. And the more both sides, Democrat and Republican, try to infuse their agendas along with this virus, this virus won't stop. It'll just keep continuing, it'll keep spreading, and a lot more people will die. So once people finally set aside their politics and come together and realize that a pandemic isn't a political issue, finally America hopefully will be able to get over this. Thank you.